What up guys, this is Versus Z bringing you a video review for week 2 of Rider Fest of S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii Kamen Rider Faiz. For a better look into S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii or S.I.C in general, check out Guiltaur's Introduction to S.I.C. I'm sure it'll help you out. This figure retails for 1,200 yen or roughly 13 to 14 US dollars and was originally released by Bandai in November of 2009 but was recently re-released. Some very simple promotional photos for Faiz, with his Faiz phone blaster and the Faiz Edge, and his signature super lazy, about to do a rider kick stance. Series Volume 6, and red and black for Faiz. Taking a quick look at Faiz's details, you notice, if you're familiar with Faiz, the character Faiz, you notice that his armor details are just outstanding. Originally in the show, Faiz's armor or his suit is more streamlined, very simple looking, but I like how they redesigned Faiz to make him look more solid, more badass, less streamlined, more beefy, and I really like that. I like the attention to detail, the little small paint apps all over the body. You have some gold or brass on top there on the shoulder panels, even on the back here. It's very small details that were just highlighted. You have the red stripes that run down from all over Faiz's body, all there, every single detail, and then some is all there. Even his accessories. The only complaint, I guess, and this is a running complaint, is just the unmolded bottom feet. I mean, you do get the made in China, but I don't know how useful that is for you. His compound eyes are also something that's really astounding, and I like that. Well, more like compound eye, depending on how you look at it. But it's just really great. Details are spectacular. Moving on to his accessories that are already attached onto his belt. You have the Faiz shot, which he doesn't really use here. You have the Faiz phone, which is detachable for a particular accessory, but you do get a huge hole in the middle of his buckle, which is a little bit of an eyesore. And you also have his Faiz pointer, which is attached here, which you can also detach and reattach down here on his leg for his rider kick. Faiz also comes with an extra set of splayed out hands, which are used to hold his Faiz phone in blaster mode, but there is an issue with that. And he also comes with the Faiz Edge, which is really nice, but made of very soft plastic for the edge part. And you also get this nice clear red plastic around, which is very nice. Very detailed sword, but just the fact that it's made, or the edge at least, is made of a softer plastic is just kind of disappointing. And you kind of get some mold degradation out of the package. Faiz's articulation is the same as your typical S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii amount of articulation. His head can rotate side to side, can look down and up very slightly, basically can't really because of the molded detail in the back. He has a collar. The arms are on a ball joint. They can rotate and do whatever you'd like. They can go back and forward. They can go in and out of the body that far, and you also have that floating separate piece for the shoulder. Rotation at the bicep. 2 point of articulation for the elbow, where you have a hinge on by the bicep and a ball joint inside the forearm, so you can get a nice bend there, and the hands are on ball joints rather than the typical peg that you've seen with Hibiki and Kamen Rider Yuki. You also have a waist rotation that can rotate 360 and go really far up and down, but I have an issue. I'm not sure if this is a running issue, but I think I can, for some reason, shimmy his top part of the torso left and right. I'm not sure why that is, or maybe, and then you get this big huge gap there if you rotate it, or if you lift his upper part of the torso way too far back, and that's kind of a little bit of a nitpick for me. The legs can go about that far from the body, rotate at the separate rotation at the thigh, kick forward about that far, not so much back because of his molded butt, and a 2-point knee bend, which is nice and pretty fluid. Same 3-point ankle joint here, where you get the left and right, tilt up and down, and then the point of articulation that's attached into the foot. I don't know if you guys can make that out, but there it is right there. And that's the secret to it, basically, and that's the gist of his articulation, so pretty neat. The posability for this figure, even though it might still be the same as any other S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii figure, it's still very impressive, the fact that I'm still able to pull off a pose like this. Now, this is actually what I come to believe one of an S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii figure's more complicated poses to pull off, considering the different positions his legs needs to be in, his arms need to be in a slouched position, and so does his upper part of the torso. Something more of an SH Figure Arts release would have no problem doing, but just knowing the fact that you're still able to do this with an SIC figure, knowing that they're not always about articulation, but more rather their detail, this is just fantastic just seeing this, and it's great once you get them balanced. It's also one of my favorite rider kick stances, just how lazy he looks. One of the issues with this figure is how Faiz needs to hold his Faiz phone in blaster mode, and that's with swapping out one of his hands for a splayed out hand and slipping in the Faiz phone into that splayed out hand. Why is that not very effective? Well, he might be holding it very securely now, but with the slightest tap of the Faiz phone, it just pops off. Not very effective. What is more effective though is the Faiz edge, and you just slip the handle into one of his default holding things hands. It's very effective, and especially this pose is real nice. I was expecting to have to use the Tamashii stage act for this, but this is just absolutely stunning that he's able to hold his stance like that. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to use the Tamashii stage act. Yeah! And because Faiz is probably one of the more detailed of the bunch, at least the ones that I have, this just looks even more badass. So overall, is S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii a figure that I could recommend? Of course it is. If you're looking for something more detailed rather than something a little bit more simplified, especially if you're a fan of Faiz originally and you like the way this figure looks, then definitely pick this up. It retails once again for 1,200 yen, roughly $13 to $14. It does come with a decent amount of accessories, although there is a slight flaw with how some of the accessories work, or one of the accessories work. But it's just greatly detailed, very greatly detailed, very, very posable. And I think, if anything, the main selling point for this particular figure is just the emphasis on detail. It's a really, really great paint apps. I mean, yes, it is a silver and black Kamen Rider, not very appealing to some of you guys, but just the way that the small paint details are added, like the little pieces of gold here and there. The compound eyes work very well. The silver is just absolutely great, and the black works fine along with that silver. And then you also have the red lines that run along Faiz all over the body. It's a really great figure, very solid figure. I mean, you have a slight knock against it, and it's not enough for me to really dislike the figure or cause me to find a good way to hate it. But it is a solid purchase in my honest opinion. So, in the end, this figure does get a 9 out of 10. Once again, only because of the fact that he can't hold his Faiz phone very well, and that's a good knock against the figure for me, because I would like for him to hold that Faiz phone in blaster mode without it falling out. And then you have huge holes in his belt and even a huge gap in his chest, which very, very minor, very nitpicky, but you know, they're there and they're constant. I don't think they're, especially the gap there, I don't think that's a QC issue. It's because I've noticed that in another review. But other than that, 9 out of 10. It's a high enough score for you guys to pick this up. It is a very solid purchase, especially if you're a fan of Faiz and can't wait for the SH Figure Arts release, or not really a fan of the SH Figure Arts design. I'm definitely more of a fan of this design for Faiz. So with that said, I hope you guys found this review helpful in some way. I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of Riderfest.